What's up? It's Sam Ekstrom, and welcome to the Squad Show. Can Vikings fans find anything to be thankful for this week?
I'm Reggie Wilson, sports director at Care 11, and poor JJ McCarthy. Max Brosmer, you're up.
Julia Daniels, Care 11 sports reporter. Brosmer time? Brosmer versus Sam Darnold? Definitely what we had on our Thanksgiving bingo card this week.
I'm definitely thankful for Gophers about to lead an NFL team this weekend. But we got to talk about Sam Darnold. He looks unbeatable at times, but he's also leads the league in something else too. We'll talk about that.
Skol! It's the Viking Squad. Everything Minnesota Vikings every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from the land of 10,000 lakes, the way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. It's time to gear up. The Viking Squad Show starts now.
Hello, happy early Thanksgiving, and welcome to the Vikings Squad Show on a Wednesday. It's our Care 11 extravaganza. Reggie Wilson, Julia Daniels, you met them. You met Ron Johnson. Again, I'm Sam Ekstrom. We're streaming on the Locked On Vikings YouTube channel. Our audio can be found on the Locked On Vikings podcast feed, free and available wherever you get your podcasts. It's all part of the #1 sports podcast network, the Locked On Podcast Network. A lot of Brosmer and McCarthy talk today. Is McCarthy's reputation buried if Brosmer comes in and dominates? Plus, it's the Sam Darnold Revenge Game. A lot of what-ifs being asked this week. Plus, what's going on with the Vikings' run defense? Try to identify that and maybe some thankfulnesses before the show is over. It's a show that today is brought to you by FanDuel. New customers can get $300 in bonus bets if their first $5 bet wins to use across the app. JJ McCarthy may not have a long list of things to be thankful for. I mean, he's got a new baby boy. Let's focus on that. There's good stuff happening in his life. On the football field, not necessarily. He has got a concussion. We assume he's in the protocol. Probably not going to play on Sunday per Rossini, per Pelissero. It's probably Max Brosmer time. So here's my opening salvo to you three. If Brosmer comes in and looks the part, looks like an NFL quarterback, does it harm in a big way JJ McCarthy's reputation? If he's trying to do the same thing, or if Brosmer is getting the same kind of instructions from Kevin O'Connell and he can execute it, and JJ McCarthy couldn't, does that harm JJ's rep? Does it save KOC? Does it exonerate KOC from people saying, you're not a real QB whisperer, you fraud? Ron, where do you stand on this?
100%. It definitely ruins JJ McCarthy's credibility. And here's why. So I got a chance, every Tuesday we shoot the PJ Flex show. And we were talking to PJ about this. And we had Drake Lindsay on the show as well. And so I was talking to Drake Lindsay and about what does Max Brosmer do well? And here's what Drake Lindsay said right away, right? He said he's a preparer. So he is going to be in that playbook for that week, that opponent, so much that he knows every facet. Now, one, he is old. He's 20, old for football standards. He's 25. He's older than JJ McCarthy. So he's played more college football than JJ McCarthy. He's thrown more college football passes than JJ McCarthy. So this is a kid that has done more football, and he's been healthier than JJ McCarthy. He's sturdier than JJ McCarthy. He's not a quarterback that says, I can use my legs. So his mind is never, okay, I got to go. His mind is always, where's my read number one? Where's my read number two? When you watch Sam Darnold, the Sam Darnold now, that's what I feel like Max Brosmer might end up being for the Vikings of this game. Now, Seattle's defense is really good, but here's where Sam Darnold is really, really good. One, because I know we're going to talk about this, so I don't want to bury my T's until the next one. But one, Sam Darnold has an offensive coordinator that came in and said, let me change this up. And here's one thing he changed up that I give you a sneaky stat. In 2024, Jackson Smith-Njigba was the #1 receiver in the slot. So his routes in the slot, he was #1. In 2025, he is the #1 receiver from the X. Like, How do you make that transition from inside to outside that quick and that good? Well, your offensive coordinator. On first down, he is the most targeted receiver in the NFL. On first down, he has the most 10+ yard pass receptions, 27. So what does that mean? That means their offensive coordinator is not trying to get let me get in a manageable second down. They're just attacking base defense on first down. Most teams on first down go with some type of base. And in every footage I'm breaking down for the Vikings this week, it's a lot of quarters coverage, a lot of basic. If you do that with Max Brosmer, he has the same ability, I feel like, as Sam Darnold, because he's sitting back saying, what's the coverage? Right away, it's quarters. Here's where I'm going. If I can't go here, here's where I'm going. If I can't go there, here's where I'm going. There's 4 plays that J.J. McCarthy could have just dropped the ball off to C.J. Ham or T.J. Hawkinson or gotten rid of it quick just to be in 3rd and short, just to be in 2nd and 7 even. Just get a 3-yard gain, a 5-yard gain, not get a concussion. J.J. McCarthy, it moved a little bit too fast. The rush moved a little bit too fast. And that's where I just wonder, I don't think it's JJ's mechanics and neurological pathways. I really think he's just overthinking it. That's it. I think he's overthinking it. I think he's thinking too much about where should he go? Where does he have to go? What did Kevin tell me I should do here? You're thinking too much. Just play football. You've done it your whole life. And that's what worries me about Kevin O'Connell's we need to change his, the way he thinks, the way he throws. You can't do that mid-season. That's an off-season task. Right now, you got to take what you got and go. You would not do that with a guy you just bought in if it was Josh Dobbs. You wouldn't say, I got to change the way Josh plays. No, you're going to make an offense that fits him. Once the season started, they should have just went whatever J.J. McCarthy was. You're not going to change him right now. And that's the problem. And that's the only reason why I say Max coming in now, if he does succeed, it does make JJ look bad because that means Max has what Kevin O'Connell's looking for, because that's what I think everybody wants to know is, what is Kevin looking for? And like Shedeur Sanders said, what do you want to prove today? He was like, I want to prove that I'm the one they've been looking for. I think that's where Max Brosmer is at right now. It's Max time.
Yeah. Organizationally, it's a pickle, Reggie, because you've got this investment, you've got this number 10 overall pick, and you've got a UDFA rookie. Like which of the two are you more invested in? It's clearly the first round pick, but at the same time, when you're operating at this level, you kind of have to strip away your draft status, and you have to go with players that can accomplish your goals. And you hate to talk about injuries this way because head injuries are not something to joke about. But this injury to J.J. McCarthy has opened the door for the Vikings to get information about another quarterback who they've entrusted to be their number 2. You don't do that unless you believe in them to some extent. Now, granted, Carson Wentz got hurt. He was supposed to be the number 2. But Brosmer, Reggie, in college, 1,498 pass attempts. J.J. McCarthy, 713. So Brosmer has him doubled up. He's older. He's more experienced. It's very conceivable that he could look the part in this game, at least look professional in this outing in Seattle.
Yeah, and I think when you kind of think about the whole thing and what Kevin O'Connell looks like what he wants his quarterbacks to look like, I feel like Max Brosmer does all of those things. He's going to play on time. He's going to get the ball out. He's going to go through his progressions, make the right reads, and that's what Kevin really wants. I remember when Josh Dobbs was here, and it was cool for a few games, but then once Kevin started to actually coach him to do some of the things that he wanted him to do in the timing and rhythm of the offense, it was just ooh, I don't think he can do that. And then with Nick Mullins, he could do all those things, but he was also going to throw 3 to 4 picks for you as well. And you're okay, cool. But it's interesting because he's had these veterans that he's been able to say, hey, this is how I want to play this position. And I think Ron is on to something with the whole McCarthy thing because he's out there and he just looks so erratic. And then, if you look at certain people's film study of JJ's game in Green Bay, you saw a quarterback who didn't make the pass that he was supposed to make at times. There were some throws where people were okay, did he not trust himself to make that throw? Because he just didn't do it. He had guys down the field open. to make an NFL throw. And this is just not a guy that is maybe showing confidence that he can do it. And I think confidence has not ever been a thing for JJ McCarthy. Like that's like one of his hallmarks. Like he's a confident kid. And it's just interesting to see just like him just kind of broken down. I said this on Care, but there was right after the game, we walked into the locker room and JJ McCarthy was just sitting there, just like staring into the back of his locker, just like, and like he just was sitting there for a long time. And now, knowing that he's in the protocol, maybe you might think, oh, did he know where he was? Like, did he know what was going on in the situation? Like, because he's concussed. But I think this is like shell shock situation, like for him, because he's never struggled like this, and he's never gone through these type of things. He's never lost like this, and now he's losing in this way, and he's not playing well, and he doesn't have the confidence of the fan base, and national pundits everywhere are just killing him for how he's playing. And I don't think it's all his fault. But then when you combine the injury with it, now you're like, dang, like I don't really know how to like defend that. And then if Max Brosmer comes in and plays on time, gets the ball out, makes some of the layered throws that you see JJ kind of struggle with, and actually get the ball to Jets, actually get the ball to his playmakers, because that's been the thing. Everybody's like, this is the ready-made situation for a quarterback. They got all these weapons, they got the play caller, the whisperer. And so if Brosmer comes in and does the things that Kevin O'Connell is looking for, I don't know. I think people needed to maybe be a little bit more realistic with who JJ McCarthy was coming into the league. I say this because I think I shared this with our Care 11 sports group chat, but there was a guy who's a draft analyst who was kind of making some notes about the things that McCarthy did well and things that McCarthy needed work on. And all of the things that McCarthy needed work on pre-draft are all the things that he is struggling with now.
Mhm.
And it's just like, but Max comes in and he's getting the ball out and he looks the part of an NFL quarterback. Now look, this Mike McDonald defense is going to be tough for him to face his first, start in the league. But if there's some sort of a flow and rhythm to how he plays, that is gonna just continue to bury McCarthy even more in the eyes of public opinion. And
Mhm.
I just hate it for him because I do think that he probably needs a good offseason of working on the mechanics and the fundamentals and really just kind of going back to the basics and back to the drawing board. And I do think that he has the talent. Bruce Arians, who I trust with offensive thoughts more than just about anybody, said McCarthy's got the goods, he's got the talent. He just needs to go out there and play and go out there and stop thinking too much and be confident and play. And if he doesn't get the opportunity to do that, whose fault is it? Maybe you blame Kevin O'Connell. That timely quote that he had last year: organizations fail young quarterbacks more than young quarterbacks fail organizations. So now his own words are having to get put to the test. So I'm just interested to see how this thing develops on Sunday with Max Brosman, because if he goes out there and
Yeah.
lights it up, I don't know that you go back to McCarthy in that situation.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. I think that if he plays well, I think he would deserve the next crack at it. And Julia, the comparisons to Brock Purdy are uncanny, right? Like a top 10 pick in Trey Lance, who gets
Yep.
hurt, a backup in Jimmy Garoppolo, who also gets hurt. That's McCarthy. That's Wentz. And now at about the same point in the season, about 6 games to go, you go to the third guy, and he's a rookie. In this case, he's undrafted. Purdy was the Mr. Irrelevant,
Mr. Irrelevant, yeah.
last pick of the draft. But I mean, and then you've got KOC, who I think is probably secretly praying, please execute, Max. Please look normal out there, because there's a lot of doubters with the head coach right now that he can't develop a young quarterback. And if Max can kind of prove him right that no, I can do this, It's going to change a lot of perceptions here in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, I mean, Kyle Shanahan still has a job after that entire experience going through those.
He's making Mac Jones look good.
Exactly. I will say, I think maybe to the general public, they'll say, oh, yeah, like KOC still got it. But I would never at this point in Max Brosmer's career give Kevin O'Connell the credit for anything that Max does on the field besides knowing how the offense works. I think he's been working with Quincy Avery since he was 12 years old. And Quincy Avery is very selective about the quarterbacks that he works with, and for good reason. And because he doesn't have all the time in the world to sit here and invest in guys. But you see, like we've talked about, you see his decision-making skills on the field. And I think somebody commented that earlier, just the fact, like the IQ that Max has when it comes to football, genuinely, I think it's off the charts. And I think that should he execute on Sunday, you'll see the IQ that he has compared to JJ McCarthy. And I think that I would agree with everybody and say, I mean, I don't know, like, I think we're all in agreement that if Max Brosmer goes out and balls out on Sunday, JJ McCarthy is in a lot of trouble. And also because JJ McCarthy's been in this building learning this offense for a year longer than Max Brosmer has been. And now he's got the short, if you look at everything in terms of preparation, Max Brosmer has the short end of the stick here. And so if he goes out and he does well, it makes JJ look doubly bad because he hasn't had all of the time to spend with the ones. He hasn't had all the time to spend an entire year in the building looking at how everything works and how everything goes down. But I also think that it goes to show just, like if he does go out and do well, just sticking to your own game plan and trusting yourself, because I do think we talk about JJ McCarthy's confidence, but when he goes out there on the field, it doesn't look like he does trust himself. Like Reggie was saying, like there were some throws in there where it was like, does he know what's going on? He's capable, but he's just not ready to let loose and go do those things. And so if we see anything from Max Brosmer, it will be that on Sunday. It's that he just sticks to the same kind of preparation and game that he's always stuck to because he trusts himself, because he knows that he's prepared. And I, to Ron's point, saying Drake Lindsay talked about the preparation that Max has too. We've talked about it since he was a Gopher, how it's almost like a psychopath getting ready for a game. And I've talked to Drake Lindsay about the same thing. What did you learn from Max Brosmer in your time as his backup? And he said the same thing. It's down to the details of preparing every single week, to the point where when he was playing for the Gophers, they couldn't interrupt his pregame routine because they knew it would throw him off for the day. And so it just comes down to stuff like that. And I think should Max do well on Sunday, it's not because necessarily anything Kevin O'Connell or Josh McCown did for him. It's what he's been doing for himself his entire life.
And speaking to that, though, too, Sam, remember when we had Max on our show and the couple times we talked to him, remember that was his agent's thing, too. Like, hey, Max kind of has a way of going about the week, so let me know a bunch of days that work, and then I'll talk to Max and see which ones. And remember, I was like,
it's down to the minute. That
I was like, dude, you're the third quarterback, though, at the time. Like, at the time, he wasn't even going to make the team. Like, this was before he even got to, this is training camp hadn't even started yet. And we got a chance to talk to him. And then we talked to him later once it started. Then I actually talked to him on the sideline at the Gophers game. And so, but the funny thing is, he always had that mindset. No matter where he was preparing. I mean, I think I told you guys that little tidbit when I talked to one of the Vikings front office scouts, that Max Brosmer, before the first preseason game, he had already scouted all three teams that were playing for the preseason. So he had the film ready to go for all 3 weeks of the preseason. Because one, he didn't know if he was going to be the starter, but also two, he was trying to show he could be a really good backup. And I think Thayer Thomas, we had Thayer Thomas on, he talked about it. Miles Price got a touchdown for Max during preseason. We had him on the podcast and he talked about it. And they all kind of said the same thing, man, Max can spin it. Man, Max is like a coach out there. Josh McCown, when I asked him, he said the same thing. Max is like a little coach out there sometimes. And then PJ Fleck says Max, if he wants to, will be a coach one day. And so that's high praise from a lot of people that at the time, and this is the thing I want people to know, my interviews with Max Brosmer was not right now. This was August. My conversations with Josh McCown and my text message with Josh McCown was like May. I was sitting with Josh at the Gophers Pro Day. This is before we knew what Max could be, and they were already praising him. So that clearly means there was something really there, because they wouldn't have made that step if they didn't believe that.
Yeah, no doubt. You can go back and check that interview out on the Ron Johnson show.
I got receipts for the kids that want to say it that way. I got receipts.
Go back a few months. Yeah, no doubt. We asked this question that everybody's asking and has been asking. Where would the Vikings be if Sam Darnold was the quarterback? That's next.
I'm Cody Rourke from Locked On Broncos, and this episode is brought to you by Peloton. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. This is Peloton's most advanced equipment yet, giving you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or you're cross-training with your favorite instructors like Alex Toussaint. It's training reimagined to make your workout more personal. Peloton is built for breakthroughs. With features that help you plan, stay motivated, and hit peak performance, you can let yourself run, lift, flex, and go, while Peloton handles all the rest. Plus, Peloton IQ provides real-time strength coaching, tracking your progress and suggesting weights that challenge you so you can get stronger. Plus, the new movement tracking camera, it counts your reps and corrects your form in real time, making sure every rep is safer and smarter. So let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
All right, back on the Vikings Squad Show. No Squad Show tomorrow. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. Enjoy the football and that NFC North battle, Packers and Lions. I think that's the early game. So Sam Darnold, it's almost taken a back seat because of the McCarthy and Brosmer drama. It's the Sam Darnold Revenge Game. These are the numbers for Sam Darnold going back to 22, when he started 6 games for Carolina and kind of caught the league's eye a bit. If you include his Carolina stint that year, Vikings, and now Seahawks, so for 3 different organizations over 3 different seasons, he is 26-8 in his last 34 starts. That is, and that is not, that you can't say that he hasn't had some adversity to face. He's had to learn new systems, right? Like, that Carolina team was not that talented. He's had to go in, learn new systems, and he's winning 26-8, and he's got Seattle in a really good spot. So where would the Vikings be if they had shelled out for Darnold? Not to say that revisionist history, it didn't seem to make sense at the time to pay him $100 million. I get that. But Julia, where would the Vikings be if he was their guy?
Oh man, this is like the dreaded conversation for Vikings fans. The Vikings would not be where they are right now if they had kept Sam Darnold. I do fear they would be in a much better situation. I'm so torn about this conversation, right? Because you have the one side where it's like what we always talk about, you drafted this guy so high, you have to give him a shot at some point. And then you have the other side where it's like, but I just don't think there was any keeping Sam Darnold. You can't when you haven't seen what JJ McCarthy does and you drafted him so high. There was just no possible way to be paying Sam Darnold what he made himself worth last year and also keep JJ McCarthy around. But they also weren't just going to trade JJ McCarthy to anybody else. He had no value at that point. And I fear things are in a worse situation now. But in the imaginary world that Sam Darnold were still here this year, the Vikings would find themselves in a much different position. And you would have a guy who's a veteran leading your veteran locker room, which would also change just the dynamic and the chemistry of the whole team. And you would have the MVP frontrunner leading your offense. So we can do all of the math that we want and realize that the Vikings would be a winning team right now. They would not be in the position that they're in at the moment if they had kept Sam Darnold. But if we're going to be realistic about the situation, there was no realistic and justifiable way to keep Sam Darnold around while you have your top 10 draft pick of a quarterback sitting in your building.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I think people are being disingenuous to say that that they realistically thought or expected the Vikings to spend that money to keep Sam Darnold in the building, much in the same way that people say the Vikings should have drafted Lamar Jackson back in 2018. Really? Like that was never even remotely on the table. You were gonna give a rookie that team that almost made the Super Bowl. So again, you can't change the past, Reggie. But if he was here, it's very difficult to sift through like what are the domino effects, because if you have a better offense, how does that improve your defense, right? Like the defense is so lifeless and so worn down right now because they're on the field 40 minutes a game that it's very hard to project, well, would they be more like last year's defense if they had a competent offense?
Yeah, and it's funny. We actually asked Josh Metellus about that on Sunday after the game, because we talked about how they were on the field so much, and he was just like, "It doesn't matter. When we're out there, we got to make the plays, and we got to get the ball back to the offense. Like, period." And it's just like, all right, give it to him for just sticking in there and just towing that company line. I appreciate it, but no, I'm looking at the Vikings schedule. All right, we're gonna go here. All right, the week one against the Bears, that's a dub with Sam. Week two against the Falcons, winnable game, that's a dub with Sam. Vikings beat the Bengals, I think that still happens. That Steelers game, winnable, that's probably a dub with Sam. Vikings against the Browns, that's a dub. I'm still gonna say the Eagles and the Chargers are L's because the defense just couldn't stop anybody in those games. And
Mm-hmm.
who knows, maybe if the offense plays better, if things change, maybe the Eagles game they could have won, but that Chargers game was just terrible. And then Vikings against Lions, that's a dub, considering how they played that day. That Ravens game, totally winnable. That's a dub. Bears. That's a dub. Like they should not have lost that game. And then this game against the Packers, I think it's a toss up because Jeff Hafley is having a year and is probably going to be a head coach next year somewhere. And that Packers defense is legitimate. And Michael Parsons is here. And that line struggled. And we've seen what Sam Darnold looks like when they come after him. And the line is just letting people through like Swiss cheese. And so maybe that's a loss. So now you're what, 8-3? 8-3, maybe 9-2 with Sam Darnold if he's still the quarterback. But as Julius said, you can't do that. You can't go there because I'm still good with the decision that they made. I think if they could have maybe try to get Daniel Jones back into the building, I think that JJ McCarthy could have used a full year of a red shirt, but just like the healthy version. Like I think there were things that he could see last year, but he couldn't apply anything. If he was able to see and apply things and all these things that Ryan was talking about, how Kevin wants to coach JJ McCarthy to do, like he's able to do that without any pressure of having to throw him out in a game. I think that is helpful. I think if he had another year to sit and actually like physically go out there and practice and work on these footwork things and mechanic things and fundamental things like that, maybe he'll be able to excel when you put him out there next year, because the plan still has to be that you have to play this number 10 overall pick to see what you have. But maybe, like I said, maybe he's just a little bit more of a developmental guy than maybe people wanted to realize, and he just needed a little bit more work. Max Brosmer is a little bit more ready-made. You getting a veteran in, a la Sam Darnold or Daniel Jones, helps a little bit more because they have gone through the NFL experience multiple times before. And so now, you look at Darnold and all that he's been through, overcoming all the ghosts that he saw in New York, like he would have excelled. There are still situations where you get after him with that pressure, and what the Rams did a couple weeks ago. He'll throw 4 picks, and I think Ron is going to get to that really soon. But Sam does really good things, and it's just crazy. I ran a video last night. We can all remember Sam getting showered with all the water after they beat the Packers in December last year at the bank, and it just all went downhill from there.
Vikings are 4-9 since the water shower.
Mm.
0-2 last year, 4-7 this year. So Ron, Reggie thinks like 8-3. Sam Darnold's your quarterback. You agree with that? You think that it would kind of be a continuation of what we saw last year?
I'm not going to talk wins and losses because you can't quantify that because butterfly effect. Here's what I'm going to tell you where they would be. Offensively, right now they're 28th in total offense, 28th pass yards, 24th run, 25th in points. The defense, though, is 24th in the run as well. So that's a problem, right? Your defense is not getting off the field, time's running out. The defense only has 3 interceptions. That's 30th in the NFL. That's the problem. Now, people are going to say, like, well, the turnover ratio for the Seahawks aren't as good and they're still winning. True. But their offense is 7th in the NFL. Their pass game is 4th. And here's a little sneaky tidbit, right? So I'm going to throw out a name. And you talk about Daniel Jones, too. There's this first down quarterbacks. Daniel Jones and Sam Darnold, both on first down right now, are the 2 most efficient quarterbacks in the NFL. Shane Steichen has Jim Bob Cooter. Jim Bob Cooter was with me in Indianapolis when I was coaching, and he then left and went to learn under the Lions, right? What do? Run the ball. They prepare. They hold the ball. They then go to the pass. Their quarterback is going to come out the gate and be 6 for 6, 8 for 8 because they run plays that have multi-levels to them. There's a high, a low, and an outlet. High, low, outlet every time. I can show you guys the coach playbook. Every single play had a high, low, outlet. Every time. It's 1, 2, 3. Here's another sneaky name. Kennedy Pamalu, right? He was with the Vikings 2017 and 2020. You got Leslie Frazier, assistant head coach. He was with the Vikings. You got Clint Kubiak, and we know he was with the Vikings, and then Rick Dennison, also with the Vikings, right? What did they all do well? Now, one, they all learned from Gary Kubiak, right? Gary Kubiak with the Broncos, with Elway, had one of the most, nastiest. I'm going to use my tight end. I'm going to use one of my receivers at McCaffrey, and then I'm going to go with my quarterback. He's going to do it. My offensive line is going to be very savvy. That's what you're seeing right now. So, again, I don't know if the Vikings have that. I don't know if their coordinator has that. It's a boom or bust type of offense. Kirk Cousins under Clint Kubiak for those 3 seasons was 4th in passer rating, 5th in touchdowns, 12,000 yards in 3 seasons was 6th, and then 67% completions was 6th in the NFL, right? So when you think about that, when you think about what Kirk Cousins was under Clint Kubiak, he's just doing that with Sam Darnold. On first down, the reason why the Seahawks are so good is because they're willing to run the ball, but they're running it with a purpose. They are motioning with a purpose. And then after they Kenneth Walker beats you down a little bit, then they're going to come play action. Then the next game when you're like, I think they're going to run the ball on first down, they're going to run play action. He's doing a very good mind game with these defensive coordinators to say, you don't know what I'm going to do. You really don't. Guess what room I'm in? You don't know. You don't know if I'm in the pass room or the run room. And that's where I think Kevin O'Connell lacks. His runs don't seem like they're for real. His runs literally seem like you're forcing a kid to eat Brussels sprouts. You got to eat these before you move on to your chicken, steak, or turkey tonight. This feels like a Thanksgiving punishment when he runs the ball at times. It doesn't feel like he enjoys it. And that's why Sam Darnold is so successful, is because on first down, they have Jackson Smith and Jigba has the most catches for 10+ yards. They have the most completed plays for 10+ yards. And here's another thing though, right? I can't bury the lead because I want to pay off the T's. Sam Darnold also leads the league in interceptions on first down with 6. So there is that, right? There is still we're going to be aggressive on first down and you're going to get that. But you're also going to have 2.5% of your plays on first down have become a turnover. 2.5%. That's way too many on first down to just get rid of the ball. So he's throwing the crap out the ball. First downs or touchdowns on first down, they're first. Touchdowns on first down, first downs on first down, 87. That's first. 74 plays on first down of 10+ yards, that's second. So they're extremely aggressive. I just don't know if the Minnesota Vikings are that. But I know Sam Darnold can read that. And so with Sam Darnold, they would have a top 5 offense. That's all I can say, because I think it would be a different offense with Darnold versus with McCarthy. With McCarthy, because we saw what it was last year. That's what it was last year. It was, we're going to run the ball, and then Sam, you're going to be in play action, and you're going to make the right decision. He was able to do it mentally. JJ McCarthy just isn't there right now. Now, can he get there? Maybe.
JSN's quite the target for Sam Darnold. He has been more explosive with Seattle than he was with Minnesota. He leads the league in adjusted net yards per pass attempt at 8.75. That's a gaudy number. A lot of quarterbacks around 6 or 7. JJ McCarthy's adjusted net yards per pass attempt, remember, 8.57 was Darnold's number. McCarthy's at 2.72. So Darnold is tripling him in that category.
I'm surprised McCarthy's not negative.
Man.
Seriously.
And Sam, did you see that throw on Sunday from Darnold? And it was funny because Wes Phillips talked about it. He was just like, man, from the first time we got Sam into this building, we just really understood that he was an elite thrower of the football. And it was just funny because he dropped back and was almost flat-footed and just like flicked his arm and tossed that thing like 63 yards to Jackson Smith and Jigba for the touchdown. And it was just kind of like it was like easy work to him. And it's so funny because, like, Brosmer and McCarthy obviously don't have the arm like that. Maybe Wentz was a little bit closer to that with the big arm that he has, but like they don't have that in the building anymore. And I think that's something that is missed as well. Like there was never a play call in the playbook that Kevin O'Connell could like call that he wasn't confident that Darnold wasn't gonna like get it there. Tight window, layered throws. I don't think we've ever talked so much about layered throws now that JJ McCarthy is here. And Darnold is able to do all of those things and do them well.
2 more short segments to go, including why can't the Vikings stop anyone on the ground? With all the money they invested in the defensive line, what's happening? It's next on The Squad Show. We are brought to you today by FanDuel. The NBA is back. The NFL is here. There are so many options for your wagering dollar right now. College basketball, college football, NHL on the table as well. Like I said the other day, watching the Timberwolves-Kings game, live FanDuel line, Kings plus 520. If you had bet that live, you could have cashed because of the way the Wolves are in collapse mode. You can do that at FanDuel. Live bets are certainly in play. Same game parlays in live fashion as well. You can put those together for a chance at big payouts. You got 3 intriguing NFL games coming up tomorrow. You got the Packers and the Lions. The Lions are favored by 2.5 in that game. Cowboys and Chiefs, high-profile matchup in the afternoon. Cowboys, 3.5-point dogs. Ravens at night against the Bengals, favored by a touchdown. Check out all of that and more at FanDuel, FanDuel.com, FanDuel Sportsbook app. New customers can bet $5. If that $5 bet wins, they get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So check out FanDuel today. They're an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Run defense woes, Reggie. The Vikings last year with the lowly paid Jerry Tillery and Jonathan Bullard were stifling opponents' rushing attacks. This year, it's been demoralizing to watch how the likes of Kamani Vidal, Kenneth Gainwell, DeAndre Swift, who'd we play? Oh, Emmanuel Wilson. Couldn't even remember who the Vikings played last week. This is not Walter Payton we're talking about. This is not Barry Sanders. Like, backs are coming in some cases, backup running backs, and they are running all over the Minnesota Vikings. So what is going on?
If I could put a finger on it, I would probably be Brian Flores. And since I can't put a finger on it, I can confirm I am not Brian Flores. But what's been so bizarre about this whole thing is, like, the first few weeks of the season, they were, not able to stop the run very well. And then you I don't understand. You go against Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, and the Lions were favored by 6.5, and mostly is because of what they've done. You look at what Jahmyr Gibbs did just last Sunday against the Giants, and you're just like, that dude is a dude. And the whole like him and Montgomery, they kept them to like 20 something yards, which was just like, okay. Then they kept Derrick Henry in check. They kept Saquon Barkley in check, which I guess a lot of teams are keeping Saquon in check this year, so maybe that's not necessarily that big of an accomplishment. But then the Kamani Vidal thing was so bizarre to me because I'm just like, who is this dude? Who is he? And he's just running wild all over the Vikings. And you didn't have Josh Jacobs to contend with on Sunday, but then Emmanuel Wilson goes off. I have no idea why they don't stop the run better than they do. The only theory that I have is just like, oh yeah, we got Kamani Vidal this week. Oh yeah, we got, you know, Swift this week. Oh yeah, Emmanuel Wilson. We don't have to worry about Josh Jacobs. We don't have Derrick Henry to worry about. I that's the only theory I have because like it doesn't make any sense to me why they can't stop the run. And this whole like season has been a bizarre case study of the defense because they're running out there with maybe like 2 or 3 active corners. And you're like, okay, we'll see what they can do to stop the pass. And then, in the run, they got all their guys like they were supposed to have Allen and Hargrave be like these stalwarts, and so far like Hargrave has flashed a little bit, but Allen hasn't necessarily popped on tape. And I just feel like all of their efforts, Kevin O'Connell was very, very adamant that they needed to beef up the interior of the defensive and offensive line. And for whatever reason, it just didn't, it's not translating this season.
Did we lose Sam?
We might have lost Sam. I'll moderate. Julia, what do you think is the reason for this Vikings run defense?
When I look at this, I think there's a few different factors that come into play here. It's I think one of the top reasons that they're struggling to stop the run is because they invested so much in their pass rush. And then those guys are hurt. And yes, you're right. Obviously, they invested in guys like Javon Hargrave and Jonathan Allen, who are not performing the way that I think everyone expected them to come in and perform, especially considering how guys talked about them in training camp. We were expecting this like crazy defensive line, and then Jalen Redmond has been the bright spot of the defensive line this season. And I would say he's been mostly responsible for stopping the run for this entire defense all season. If we're being honest, he's got the MVP in that category, but they invested so much into the pass rush. And then a lot of those guys were injured. You have guys like Andrew Van Ginkel that are out, and then you bring them back. And of course, Andrew Van Ginkel is always going to have an impact on the game when he's playing, but then you bring him back, and I feel like there's a power imbalance at some point too, because now you have this great player, and now you expect the defense to look a little different. And so I think that part of it is just the fact that, like you said, guys aren't performing on the line like we would expect them to, but also maybe an investment in the wrong parts of the defense. I wouldn't even say it's the wrong investments, because you invested in bringing these veterans in. But I think it's the expectation going into the week that you have Jonathan Grenard, you have Andrew Van Ginkel, you have Blake Cashman, and then Eric Wilson's the one that's kind of consistently shining ahead of those guys. Jonathan Grenard, he's been slippery this year. It's been odd. It's been off. It's not been what we expected, especially in comparison to last year. And so I think that maybe they invested too much into that aspect of their defense, and there needed to be maybe more of an emphasis on their line as a whole in that sense. And so that's kind of where I think they're struggling and why consistency hasn't been there, because maybe they're just focusing on the wrong parts of their defense, or they're trying to do too much and they're falling too heavy into one aspect of their defense, and so then they aren't executing when it comes to stopping the run, because we have seen them stop the run, like you said.
Right.
It's just been, in some games, it's just been really bad.
Yeah. And the to your point too, with the investment of the pass rush, they haven't gotten home a lot either, which, is what you would expect with the investments that they've made with the pass rush. Dallas Turner has popped, but
And just how they performed
it's
last year, too.
exactly. Welcome back, Sam.
It's good to be here. Good to rejoin you guys on mobile, sounding way worse, I'm sure. I bet you solved all the run defense issues.
Ron still has to give the X's and O's perspective of it.
All right, Ron, we need it.
Yeah, I mean, they can't stop the run is because they didn't bring guys in like Harrison Phillips. Like, their goal wasn't to stop the run. And it's one of those things where people call it overreaction Monday, whatever you want to call it. The way people talked about their run defense last year, they were like, oh, we're great. But then the pass, right? They were like, man, we're not getting any sacks. We're not getting to the quarterback. And so they went out and they found guys that can get after the quarterback. And we were all super excited about this 3 technique and this Aaron Donald type of feel. But the thing about the Rams is they would bookend 2 bigger guys outside of Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald played like a flex cock nose. He would play a 3 technique. He could go all the way out to the 5. Then they would have bigger guys that can be on the inside. The Vikings don't have that right now other than Jalen Redmond. And maybe the solution is Jalen Redmond needs to be a bigger piece of this defense. Jalen Redmond maybe needs to be on the field a little bit more, and Hargrave and Allen need to come in alongside him. But I feel like he's the only one that you feel like is a true run stopper. I think Jonathan Allen earlier in his career, as well as Hargrave, might have been. But now they're kind of more true get after the quarterback type of guys. And then when it comes to the run, if my mind, and PJ Fleck talked about this yesterday, because we asked him about Northwestern. Northwestern could not do any wrong. And I'm like, what's going on with the defense? And his thing, his kind of take was, when guys are getting outside of their gaps, not even by that much, he was like, it's a margin of error. And then they're reached by the guy that's supposed to reach them. So the offensive lineman does his job. That hole that would have been like this becomes like that. And now the running back can just turn sideways and get through. Boom, it's an arm tackle. It's so on and so forth. If a guy's supposed to come from the wide 9 and push down to a 7, but he still rushes up the field like a 9, there's a huge gaping hole outside the tackle. So all of that kind of stuff is what, is the biggest issue with not setting the edge or not setting the, and here's the thing I hate when people say set the edge. The edge is not any specific spot. The edge is where the defensive coordinator has decided this is the edge. So it could be the 5, it could be the 7, it could be the 9. Like, there is no specific edge. So every time I hear people say like, oh man, he's not setting the edge, you don't know where his edge was even at. You don't know what he was told to do. Just like we saw the tackle box thing where it's like, oh wait, he is outside or he is inside the tackle box because the tackle was actually moving to the right. So the tackle box goes with the tackle. It's not like a specific box. If the tackle sets wide, that's the box. And so I think that's the biggest issue stopping the run. It's like you got 2 defensive ends that are outside linebackers. Their job is to get after the pass. You got 2 D tackles. Their job was to get after the pass. It's very simple. It has nothing to do with anything besides the scheme they're running and the players they have. Harrison Phillips, we might not have liked that he didn't get after the quarterback a lot, but he did stop the run.
I think it's a lot of little things. I think it's losing Phillips. I think with Tillery and Bullard, they didn't offer much in pass rush. They were probably a little better at run stopping. Cam Bynum, good run stopper. Not having Bynum, now you have Metellus playing less in the box and a little more deep, so he's not in the box as much. It's you haven't had Van Ginkel every game. Bunch of little things contributing. And it helped so much with this particular defense when you could get stops on first and second down, more third and longs, more chances to tee off. It all worked together, and it's just not working this year. A lot of stuff's not been working. It's been a tough few weeks for Vikings fans, but we'll tell you where Vikings fans can find gratitude in our quick final segment next. The squad show rolling on. There'll be a reaction show on Sunday after the game about 6 p.m. Central Time with Luke Inman, Luke Braun, Ron Johnson, and myself. And I ask this in closing. What can Vikings fans be thankful for this Thanksgiving? It might be hard to conjure up. I would say this. You can go to youtube.com at any point in time, or the YouTube app if you're on your phone, and you can look up Thanksgiving highlights of Randy Moss in 1998 and 2000, and you can watch him smoke the Dallas Cowboys, and you can relive it, and you can go back down memory lane, and you can experience the nostalgia of when it happened. And you always have that. That's never going to go away. So that is what you can be thankful for, that there are good memories from the past. Maybe not in the here and now, but you can reminisce at any point in time about Thanksgiving's past. That is what you can be thankful for. Julia, what can Vikings fans have gratitude about?
Vikings fans can be so grateful that they have one of, if not the top receiver in the NFL, who is not making this about himself, even though we know receivers have been known for as long as the NFL has existed to be the divas of the team. Justin Jefferson is the complete opposite of that. He has led with so much grace and patience, and they should be so thankful that he's able to at least keep the chemistry and the vibes of the team as consistent as possible, even though things are a little bleak right now.
That's a good answer. It's nice to have a superstar that is a teammate. Reggie.
I'm going to say they can be thankful for a potential all-pro season from Jalen Redmond. He just continues to flash. Everybody talks about him. All the analysts and the film junkies just talk about how he just flashes off the screen, flashes off the tape. And so he's having a great year. He's going to make some money. So maybe he could be thankful about that.
Ron?
We're only 9 months away from a new football season. I think that's be thankful it's not that far away. We're almost there. We're almost back to August, people. August is not too far away. We got training camp coming. Maybe Max Brosmer, a good quarterback competition. Maybe Kirk Cousins wants to come back and compete for that job now instead of leave. Imagine if Kirk hadn't have left. Kirk would probably still be the quarterback with all the J.J. McCarthy issues. Like, I think they would have kept going with Kirk. But anyway, I'd say be thankful that you have Justin Jefferson. Like, I know it's not a great season right now. He's not doing well. He's on pace for 3 touchdowns total this season, which is probably he's gonna implode at some point and have a 30 for 30 on ESPN, do push-ups and sit-ups in the snow outside of his new house. But be thankful that you have Justin Jefferson, because that is a gift that keeps on giving, even when you feel like it's bleak. So enjoy it.
Well, I'm thankful for our Wednesdays together. I'm thankful for those that watch and comment and troll at PD Band Skull. Again, lulz. Appreciate you too. I appreciate everybody in there for the engagement. And thank you for making Locked On Vikings a destination for Vikings talk. For Ron Johnson of The Ron Johnson Show, Julia and Reggie on Care 11, I'm Sam Ekstrom. Thanks for watching, listening, commenting, subscribing. The Squad Show returns Sunday after the game. It's Brosmer time.